Hi guys, so in today's video I'm going to be reviewing Moneyfarm. If you haven't heard of Moneyfarm before, they are actually one of the biggest digital wealth management companies in Europe, which is really cool. And whilst I've tended to stay away from things like actively managed funds, I have thought that I need to give it a go. I want to see what it's like. I want to see how it compares to my own portfolios and my just sort of like individual investments in the S&P 500 and stuff like that. So when they reached out to me, I thought I would have a look into them, see if I was comfortable giving it a go. And I did some research, saw that they have really awesome reviews on Trustpilot, which is always a good thing. And through that, just decided I'm going to give it a go. I invested my own money in there. So I put the £1,500 minimum in there. This was back in January-ish. We'll have a look in a minute when we go into my dashboard. But yeah, I wanted to see how it performs and how I end up doing. So in the end, it actually ended up being a really good choice because I got an email recently telling me about a study that was done by Boring Money, where they basically set up test accounts with 15 different platforms and robo-advisors, investing £500 in their ready-made medium risk portfolios or own brand multi-asset funds. Now you can see here that actually Moneyfarm outperformed all the other big names that I was initially drawn towards. So they outperformed like Vanguard, Nutmeg, AJ Bell, etc. And this is actually after charges, which is really good because most of the time managed funds have much higher fees than you would get with just the sort of standard like left alone funds. So the charges were actually something that's initially put me off actively managed funds in the past, but having seen this I now feel a lot more comfortable giving it a go. So with all that out of the way, let's have a look at the platform. So when you sign up, you get asked a lot of questions. And I know this tends to be the case with a lot of these platforms these days, but actually they ask you quite a few questions that you go through. And what happens after you get asked all these questions and go through all these personal questions is you get suggested a variety of potential portfolios. So you can see here that my recommended portfolio was Pioneering. Time horizon 3 to 6 years. These are my contributions. So they've recommended to me portfolio 6 out of 7. And then you can see here what it invests in. So cash and short-term government bonds, developed markets, etc. I'm not going to read through all of this. You can sort of see it on the screen. But obviously with the majority in global equities and the remainder diversified across to fixed income and commodities. You've got these developed market government bonds, developed markets equity, which I think is really, really cool. You've also got the emerging markets equity, where you've got Asia, Latin America. It is high risk, but obviously you've only got 6% in there. You can see here the difference between the portfolios as well. So if I click into portfolio 7, you can see the difference here between how it's split. So you can see here portfolio 7 has a lot more in the equity than it does the other portfolios. And you can see here as well at the bottom, you've got the past performance of the portfolios. So of course, I've said this so many times in my videos, so I feel like a broken record, but past performance is not an indicator of future performance, but it is a good way of sort of looking at the different things that are available to you. So the one that is recommended for me, I ended up going for sort of the portfolio 6 out of 7. So now if we go into the dashboard at this point in time, we can see sort of how it looks and how my portfolio has done. So you can see here you've got the net contributions at the moment are 1,500. Now the reason it's currently only 1,500 is because I invested it, as you can see here, on the 21st of January. And what I've done is I've set up the monthly £100 contribution. So going forward, that's what it will be. It is currently the 20th of February. So in the next day or two, actually probably on Monday, that extra £100 will go in. But so far you can see here, I'm up 1% in less than a month, which I think is a really good return so far. The other thing to show here is obviously you've got this recent activity where you can see here dividends paid. I know in a lot of platforms people are like, they struggle to find where the dividends are and when they get paid, etc. So it's really good here that you can see, even though it's a managed fund, you can see here the dividends that you receive. Now, the other things to point out here, whilst we're in the dashboard, you can see here that they offer just a general investment account, as with all the platforms. They do offer a stocks and shares ISA, as well as a private pension. So obviously I couldn't go for the ISA because my ISA in this tax year is already taken. But if you follow me on social media, you know that I'm currently trying to decide which ISA to go with in the new tax year. So I think having seen that boring money study, I think Moneyfarm is like a big contender for me. But I will let you guys know once I've decided. But the pension as well, it's really good that they offer the private pensions. Not a lot of platforms actually offer this. Obviously, as it's coming up to the new tax year, you should be having a think about whether the current provider that you've got your ISA with is right for you, whether you potentially want to sort of look at a different one, which is what I'm doing this year. But anyway, if we go back into this dashboard, the other thing that I really like here is that if I did have an ISA, it would be really, really clear at the top here, your ISA contributions in this year. This is how much you've contributed and this is how much you can still contribute. They also seem to have these events that they put on here. This is something that I've only just recently found out about. So you can see here, registration open, Investment Outlook event 2021. Do you want to know how we're planning for the future? Join us on the evening of the 24th. We'll share our vision for 2021 and answer any questions you may have. So I really like that. It gives you a chance to sort of talk to them and just attend events where you learn more about investing. And whilst we're on the subject of talk to them, the other thing to point out is you can see here you've got speak to a consultant, book a call to talk through your plan with a member of our team. So this is really important because the amount of times I get DMs which ask me about how do I contact this platform, how do I contact this platform, and my answer is always, you know, chat to them in app or whatever the answer is. But I always get asked the question, can I not just call them? And pretty much every single time the answer is no. There's no ability to call the other platforms and talk through anything. So this for me, again, is a huge thing. I've talked quite recently about customer service being really important to me. And whilst in-app customer service, again, is really important, and some platforms do it better than others, the ability to speak to someone on the phone, you can't beat that, because that is like straight away talking to someone, getting through everything you want to talk about, and you can talk about your investment strategies. And like you can see here, when I click into it, speak with a consultant, you can pick a date and pick a time and give them a number and just book the call. So you can see here Monday, you've got so many different options. So you don't even have to wait a long time. Obviously it's Saturday right now, so Saturday, Sunday, you wouldn't expect to contact them anyway. But yeah, I thought that was like a really, really nice touch. So the final two things I wanted to point out are the fees and the minimum investments. So first of all, the minimum investments. So there is initially a minimum top up of either £5,000 and then you can just leave it be, or you can top up 1,500 and then set up a direct debit for £100 a month, which is what I did. I didn't want to put in £5,000 up front personally, just because I didn't have that money to invest. Now, the reason this is so high is because they want you to have the best chance at good returns by having the most diversified portfolio that you can. I would say that because of the sort of high entry points, this probably isn't for beginner investors. This is probably more for people who want to invest decent amounts of money and just don't have the time to manage their own portfolios. They just sort of want to invest and leave it and not think about it. So just before we get into the fees, I just wanted to say down below, I've got a link and a code that if you use it, you will get your first £5,000 managed for free for the first 6 months. So all of these kinds of fees will only apply after if you use my code. Now, in terms of the fees, because like I said, this is something that people ask about a lot with any platform that I talk about. And of course, this is going to be higher because it is an actively managed fund. But remember what I said about that study where even after the fees, they actually outperform places like Vanguard. But you can see here, in terms of the fees, you've got on the first £10,000, you would pay 0.75%. On the next 10,000 to 50,000, you'd pay 0.6%, etc, etc. And then on top of that, you've got the investment fund fees, which are pretty standard for pretty much any platform as well. And then you can see here what's included is portfolio management, constant market analysis and strategic adjustments, investment consultants. So you can, this is what I was talking about, the customer service. So anytime discussions covering everything from market events to building out your financial plan and all the running costs, etc. So they actually have a pretty handy calculator here that tells you exactly what you'd pay if you invested a certain amount of money. So here, obviously, if you invested, say, £10,000, your monthly cost would be £8.67, and the annual fee would end up being 1%. The other thing to point out is that they don't actually invest in individual companies. They invest your money purely in ETFs, which again makes your money a lot safer and more diversified, which I'm all about. So overall, like I said, initially was very skeptical, wasn't a fan of actively managed funds, but with my experience so far, I'm quite happy, and having seen that study just come out, they are definitely a contender for me to go with them for my ISA next year. So I'll keep you updated on that, but I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it was useful, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.